Bonjour and bonsoir, dear friends. This is JCB Live Wine Style with the fabulous, irresistible, gorgeous, flamboyant, and charming, and very talented Stephanie Putnam.
Well, thank you. Too many words to live up to.
You live up to every one of them and more. Dear friends, I've had the pleasure to meet this irresistible child the first day we had the opportunity to bring Raymond within our families of wineries. And this has been an amazing, incredible 11 years together. We're going to go there. But first, I want to start with a few personal questions with Stephanie. First and foremost, when you cheer, why don't you drink the wine?
Well, you weren't drinking the wine either, so I was just following your eye. I'm happy to
Let's
drink
do
wine.
it again!
Let's drink now.
So why do we look at each other deeply in the eyes like that?
It's considered rude, bad luck, and multiple years of bad sex if you do not look at the person while you're
Well,
cheering
let's
them.
do it again just to make sure.
Just to make sure.
Stephanie has those beautiful Gemini eyes that drive you into her two personalities. Have you always had two personalities?
Well, since I was born in Gemini, I'm going to say yes, I've always had two personalities. And in fact, sometimes when I straighten my hair, that's when you really see the other personality come out.
So, two personalities, meaning Gemini, this is the end of May. This is 2 days after my twin ladies. That's why I always remember, when you're born. Now, describe your two personalities.
Oh, wow. Okay, good question. So I would say one, very outgoing, very gregarious, very flamboyant. The other one's a little bit more shy, a little bit more reserved. And since I've, been working with you, who is anything but shy or reserved, that other side of me that's a little bit quieter and more shy and more reserved has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And the other part that's a little bit more outgoing has really come out.
So, when you comb your beautiful, flamboyant collection of hair, do you actually...
It's not a wig, it's real.
It's real, I can tell you that. It is real. Do you look at yourself in the mirror in two different ways? This is this personality and that personality. So, as you described, when you look at yourself, think of yourself in different modes, how do you describe those two personalities?
Well, when I get my hair straightened, I have another name for myself.
Which is?
Well, there's multiple names. Depends on what you want to be. I like to call myself Sasha. Other people have called me Daphne from Scooby-Doo.
I like Sasha very much.
I liked Sasha. It's straight, and I think people tend to take you more seriously if you have straight hair. So that's when the more shy, reserved person comes out. But when it's the natural curls, which have good hair and bad hair days, that's when you get a little bit more of the gregarious personality coming out.
I love that, Daphne. This is two new names, dear friends. As you know Stephanie very well as well, Daphne
Or
Sasha.
There you go.
So, Stephanie, in your life, you've mentioned to me many times that you were cradled with wine. What is your most exciting memory?
Too many to count. And there's some that are legal and some that are illegal, so I have to be very careful about that.
Would you give us the illegal one?
No. I will give you one of my most cherished memories. It actually does tie in nicely with Raymond. It is when I was finally graduating from college, and my mom was super grateful that I was graduating, and I know it was no longer was sucking her checking account down, and so we celebrated with a bottle of Raymond Cabernet.
Wow!
So Raymond has always been a very special place.
But don't tell me you didn't drink wine before your college years.
Oh, well, of course I did. I mean, doesn't everyone? I mean, I think we even started with things that were not wine, things that were wine coolers.
Why do you think actually Prohibition lasted so long?
That's a very good question, and I do not know the answer to that.
I mean, over 11 years?
I would not have been able to survive that.
No. Well, I want to toast to you for the flamboyant side and the more strict side, because we're tasting the Geminis of wines today.
There you go.
And Stephanie wanted us to start with my ultimate favorite, the king of all the Raymond wines for me, is that Rutherford. So why did you want to start with the Rutherford in our glass?
Well, we're in Rutherford, so it felt like the perfect wine for us to have if we're going to be in Rutherford. But I also like that it's the one that shows the most typicity of the region or
Yes.
the area. I think it's the one that has, out of all of the appellations, is the one that's the most distinctive when you taste it. If you can pick up a glass of Yountville or Coombsville or St. Helena, and Rutherford is one that
Yes.
has always been very distinctive to me, and so that's why I wanted to show it.
Is it because of that dust people allude to?
Well, there is that dust. I personally have never gotten the dust. I get more of a.
You just get the golden dust.
I just get the golden. The We're
This
not gonna
is
go there.
a privilege to have hair made out of gold. It's amazing. She looks literally like Nefertiti or one of the Egyptian goddess. Golden hair.
So back to the wine.
Well,
See, this is why I have the two personalities, right? I'm laughing, but okay, now we're going to focus back to the wine.
let's focus.
What was the question again?
Well, I forgot. So why is Rutherford so unique
Oh,
to you?
yes. So Rutherford for me has Napa Valley is a patchwork of soils, and it's one of the most diverse areas that you're ever going to find with soils. But Rutherford is consistently, maybe it's a little bit more.
I like
yes,
how you move
like
your
that?
hand.
Yes.
Have you noticed? Let's do that again. Let's show everybody. This was very beautiful. You see, she's talking with her hands. It's fabulous. The left hand never moves as much. Is it normal? Oh, good.
I can move.
We just
both.
wanted to make sure you had two.
I do. Just now I'm self-conscious, thank you. Going back to Rutherford. Soils, Napa, very diverse.
Yes.
But Rutherford, I think, tends to have a little bit more of a clay influence, and I think it kind of helps cooler soils, help slow down maturation,
Yes.
heavier soils, more tannins to the grapes. And so that's, I think, where you get more of that truly distinctive nature within that you find in Rutherford, that meatier wines, the ones that have more of that cocoa character, the roasted coffee character, mushroom, earthy, meaty,
Yes.
but they're very powerful wines.
I love it, as you are. So where did you get this personality of yours? Is it more from your father, your mother, your grandparents? And how would you define your personality? Two questions in one.
Well, I think we've already discussed my personality.
Well, the
where-
Gemini
The
side.
Gemini, right. Well, I think that's probably a good, gregarious, open, very open, likes to have a lot of fun, very
True.
sarcastic. You should know that.
More than the French.
Once again, what was the question?
And very disciplined, too.
Very
in many
disciplined. I
ways.
like to focus, and when you're talking, it's hard for me to focus.
Well, we should share, with all our friends, what did you want to do when you first came out of college? Because I think this is one of the stories which is very inspiring, and how you moved to wine from your first wish in life.
My first wish was shockingly, and I think if you know me, you know the story, but if you don't, then you might be a little surprised that I wanted to be an FBI agent. Mm-hmm. And
Not CIA, FBI.
Yeah, FBI. I didn't really want to travel much, and when I travel, I stick out like a sore thumb. It's not like I blend in, so FBI was better suited for me. I actually did think about that. See, so at the time, I'm not sure if it's true now, but at the time you had to be 5'2", and for anyone who's ever met me, I am not 5 foot at all, not even. I'm shrinking. I'm 4'11".
But the personality is very big,
It's
so
the
she's
hair.
like 8 feet as a personality.
Most people think I'm a lot taller than I really am, but I'm like 4'11". Apparently I'm shrinking, 4'11 and a half now. So when I find out that you have to be 5'2" to be an FBI agent, I'm like, well, there with that career, unless you put me on one of those medieval torture stretching racks, that's never going to happen. You might
That
actually
could be an
enjoy-
idea,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, that was
And
probably
what
not
was
what I wanted to-
attractive to you in the Secret Service?
Because my dad worked for the IRS.
Oh,
And he was actually quite famous in the IRS. There's awards in his name and his honor that are given
Wow.
out every year. And there actually is Ron Reagan, when he was the Secretary of Treasury actually gave him an award as well.
Really?
So he was very well known. He was very good with numbers. So I'm got a little bit of his ability on that.
For sure.
But I always wanted to, since he worked for the government and he was offered lots of money to work elsewhere, and he's like, no, I want to work for the government. That's what I wanted to do. But I didn't want to do it with numbers. That's why I was thinking something else.
You're a very good investigator, so I could see you being a very good secret agent.
Well, yes, because no one ever thinks that I'm guilty of anything. However, so I do tend to get away with a lot of things, which, you probably want to put your earmuffs on and not listen to that. So I just wanted to serve.
And how did it become that wine was the thing you really ended up doing? Because a lot of our friends probably don't know that story and that side of you. So Secret Service, maybe not. So what took you to the path of the elixir of God?
Well, so maybe going back to those illegal days.
Yes.
When I was drinking wine, and my parents, I always say, were some of the original wine and foodies, because I was doing 3-course meals when I was a child, and that's not because we were rich or fancy. It was just they really enjoyed food.
That's great.
So I was drinking wine or grape juice along with them, and I even had my own Baccarat decanter to go with the grape juice.
Ooh la la!
When they would decant their wine, I would have my own decanter.
This is so cool.
I'm not bringing the Baccarat here because I'm afraid it would get lost amongst your collection, but I was very fortunate to have a lot of that growing up. So it was just one of those things that you grow up with, right?
That's right.
And so I go to Davis. I realize I'm never going to get any taller. So what else can I do? I took a class in wine, and I thought, wow, I get to drink every day? I mean, this is awesome. I mean, who doesn't want to do that when you're 18, right?
For sure.
I've loved every moment of it.
So it's from Davis. You got inspired. It was that unique moment. What is there one moment you could probably highlight that really made you say, "That's what I want to do," and it's going to be winemaking? Because you could go in many ways.
Sure.
Vineyard, marketing, sales. I mean, the wine world beautifully is so diverse. So it attracts a lot of skills.
Well, actually, we were taking a wine class.
Yes.
It was one of the wine analysis blending classes that I was taking, and the challenge was to go ahead the best wine. And so we did. The class did. I did. I was fortunate enough to win. And you're like, oh, well, what did you do? And I said, well, I didn't like the components. So I just instead of blending, I just decided to use the one wine. And that's when, I mean, there was other things. I was looking at viticulture. I actually started off as a plant science with a viticulture emphasis.
Yes.
Start. And then once I took that class and I realized that I was like, wow, okay, I'm actually kind of halfway good at this. So that was a moment where I really fine-tuned my path.
And that was it?
That was it.
You
Here
never
I
look
am.
back?
I have never looked back.
So when you look at taste and flavor and wine profile, from the moment you started to make those great wines at Hess and Farniente and Raymond, in the last few decades, what evolution of taste have you seen?
Within the U.S. market, I think people have definitely moved away from the bigger, more powerful tannins, and they want something that's softer, more approachable, elegant, but still is age-worthy, right?
That's
so
right.
you want to get that fine balance. And I think really great winemaking is all about finding that right balance in the wine. You want the wine to be seamless from start to finish. And I think that's what people want. So the wines from the 70s and the 80s that you couldn't physically drink until the 90s, they're great wines right now, but no one can really, you couldn't enjoy them then. People want to buy it and enjoy it immediately.
And you think overall, as Napa Valley, this is where we've been going?
I think so. I think we've, like many things, we like to push the envelope, and I think we've pushed the envelope to perhaps a little bit too far with ripeness and alcohol, and now I think we're dialing it back once again, trying to find that perfect balance.
How has it been? Because that's, dear friend, a very good question. As we taste this beautiful Rutherford wine, I want to make sure the sound is helping me even to feel the history of Napa. As a young woman,
Thank
as
you.
you said, 5 foot, coming into the wine world, 2 decades ago, very male-dominated world, how has it been for you to just carve your phenomenal cave, meaning your flamboyant cave, your tunnel, into the history of this amazing valley? Because it's all about creating oneself a style. And how has it been to do so as a lady? And what is your style?
Well, I think we've talked a little bit about my style already, which is all about the balance of a wine. I want the wine to be harmonious from start to finish.
Yes.
Big wines are great.
Yes.
And wines that are softer and rounder are also great as long as they're balanced. So I think each one has its own place. So that would be my style.
Yes. Which I'm, by the way, extremely excited, because this is what we together, which we'll talk in a moment about, defined as the evolution of Napa in a big way, and Raymond. Not to say JCB and Secret Indulgence and many other fantastic projects you're leading. So that's exciting. Okay, that's the first part of the question.
And then as a female within Napa, I've had some good experiences and then some not so good experiences with people who were I worked for a year in a cellar, and the guys definitely were throwing little dirty tricks my way, trying to trip me up and see if I could make a mistake, and I would take the blame for it. But I've also been surrounded by people who have been willing to take me under their wing and tutor me.
Yes.
And really help me out. And so I've been very fortunate to find some great mentors. I've been fortunate to work for people who don't look at male or female.
Yes.
They just look at the overall person, like you, as an example.
For sure.
I mean, you don't really care if it's male or female as long as you get the job done. But,
Well,
okay. So there is a preference there. However, but you're
we really said it. There's a preference.
You're not going to hire one person over another based on their...
Well, I really feel, as you turning it to me now, and we should try the Napa Valley Reserve, because after the Rutherford. So I finished my glass and you haven't. How come?
I've been talking more than you.
Oh, good.
Okay. I'll get there.
Because I'm just afraid if Stephanie Putnam, the director of winemaking of Raymond Vineyard, does not finish her glass, then we're in trouble. I really feel, and I would love your opinion on that, in terms of olfactive abilities, women have a great, great advantage. And I've witnessed it myself with my grandmothers, who were not at all in the wine world, but they were great tasters. You could taste food, sauces, wine, juices, homemade juices, whatever it was. Very interesting flavor palette. My mother, who is not a winemaker, but has an amazing palate, my sister as well. So my lovely wife, needless to say, and yourself. So have women an advantage in the way the body's built? And
well, technically we do have an advantage. We have a little bit more taste receptors. But I also think that there is an environmental aspect to that, because normally women are more raised as girls and as children in the kitchen. So I think we're being exposed more to flavor profiles, and we're learning to taste at a younger age. We're learning to cook at a younger age. So I think that there is some physical and also environmental factors that kind of combine together.
well, thank you for enlightening us. Cheers to the next wine. And to the environmental factors. We share a passion I'd love for you to explain is organic and biodynamic. And dear friends, Raymond, isn't it the leading estate in the heart of Napa Valley, both organic and biodynamic?
That is correct. We are the largest estate that is certified organic and biodynamic.
And how did you find that passion within you as well? Because winemaking often focuses on making wine, but you love the vineyards. As you said, you wanted to study the plant and to understand the roots. How did that come to life for you?
Well, as the saying goes, great wine is made in the vineyard. So, and like many sayings, there actually is a lot of truth to it. So if you can treat the vine as its own little universe and make it as healthy as possible, it's going to make the best wine possible. So, but if you hit it with a lot of herbicides and pesticides and chemicals, then you're just going to take the life out of the vine. The life out of the vine means the life sucks out of the grape,
Yes.
You see that in the wine. But if we're making the vine healthier and happier, the wine itself is going to be healthier and happier. So organic and biodynamic really makes a lot of sense when you're looking at farming. And it's also not just about, we can make a great wine today, but what do we want to do 20 years from now?
That's right.
So it's not just about us today, it's about protecting the future.
Have you always been so forward thinking?
I'd like to think so, but
Projecting
probably not.
you 20, 30 years from now? What I could tell is this wine really represents who you are. Can you describe this iconic 40th anniversary label that we decided to keep, of course?
Of course. How could
And-
you not keep that label?
That's right. Tell us why and why this wine, I think, is so successful, and maybe the difference between making a very, very small lots. When we're talking about the Rutherford we just tried, you make 200 cases, which is really, a tiny amount, 8 barrels, and here it's 1,100 barrels. So give us your view of this and the distinction.
So I actually requested that we do these two wines because I think that it tells the nice story, and we can go back to the Gemini, right? A lot of people will think that it's harder
Yes.
to make a wine that's 200 cases than it is to make a wine or 8 barrels versus 1,100 barrels. One is not harder to make than the other. They're just different approaches. I will say that in terms of how we treat the grapes at the winery,
Yes.
I think great winemakers are all control freaks. So every single grape is treated the same.
Yes.
How we blend and then how large the blend is and how we blend it together will ultimately determine which bottle it goes into. But in many ways, making the Reserve Cab, which is this stunning red velvet label, is in some ways, I believe, harder to make because that is something that people want consistency, they want quality, they want bang for their buck.
That's right.
They don't always care about the vintage date as much as they do on, say, our District Rutherford Cabernet. So what they want there is something that's easy drinking, it's velvety, it's soft, it's rich. There's some cherry fruit to it.
Yes.
But it's not just from our estate vineyards. It's a blend of maybe 13 or 14 different vineyards. So
I'm charmed.
crafting everything together to give that consistency in many ways is harder than going out to our famous Rutherford estate and picking a couple of rows for our 8 barrels. They're challenging in very
So
different
the biggest
aspects.
challenge is right here, really.
In many ways it is.
13, 14 different vineyards. And you were very much part of the design of the label. And I remember that because I was right there with you. So why do you think this wine, and you use the word velvety, but besides that, why does this presentation, besides the room we're in, really fits Napa Valley Cabernet?
Well, I think it invokes a feeling. That velvet label evokes a feeling, and it already predisposes you when you pick up the glass and go, mmm.
Can you do that again? Mmm. I'm going to do that now. I pick up the glass.
Yeah, that was the official winemaking term, by the way. But you're already thinking of velvet. And you're thinking red fruits or richness, and that image is what it's like our way of trying to present the wine in the glass with that velvety label, that richness, the texture to it, the velvetiness. So I think it's a brilliant concept, really.
It's been very exciting over the last 11 years. What do you think you learned the most in the last 11 years?
Whew. What have I learned the most?
Big question for all of us. We got to reflect on time and what time is giving us and allowing us to be.
I've learned that I still have a lot to learn, I think, as everyone would always say, but I think that every year is different, and one of the reasons why I love Mother Nature and wine is that every year is different, and so
You don't call her Father Nature?
No.
She's always Mother Nature. How come? I'm getting jealous
Well, maybe
right
because
now.
she has tempers and moods.
Is she a Gemini too?
She probably is, because there's 4 seasons, winter, so you could say that, but
Yes.
distracted again.
I love to distract
You
Stephanie.
do.
That's how I get what I want sometimes. So are you having fun producing so many wines at Raymond? Because you do 13 district, you do the Napa Valley Fantastic Reserves, and many other phenomenal unique lots. It must be a blast.
It's a lot of fun. It's challenging too,
Yeah.
which is also fun because if it was easy,
Yes.
then I wouldn't be here because it would be boring. And I think it's important in life to be challenged and to be excited. And if I don't get excited about making the blends, then I shouldn't be here.
So what inspires you the most besides wine?
Well, as you know, I'm a huge scuba diver. And
So the underwater world.
the underwater world, that's how I get a mental refresh every year is to go scuba diving.
Do you believe you were born in another life as a Gemini, maybe in the water?
I probably was, yes.
And now, what is the thing you want to share with us, as we had such a great time sharing those two wines together, that you've never shared about yourself that you wish to divulge?
But now if I divulge it, it's not really a secret. Now why would I
but
want to do that?
I know you have many secrets.
I do have many secrets.
And you indulge some of them. Ooh, that was easy. Secret indulgence, of course.
Of course. One of my secrets that you want to know that I don't
That
mind.
you like Pinot Noir better than Cabernet and you've never told us?
That's probably a no. Because if I did that, then I would not be here. I would be somewhere else.
Well, you would make Pinot in one of our other wineries. So the secret you've never told us that you're willing to share about yourself. Because we want to hear that, Stephanie. We want to know more. I have everyone who's been asking me that same question about you. And I've been so close to the chest. She's a Gemini. She'll tell you.
No, I won't.
Well, you can think of that for the next time we spend
yes,
together.
let's do that because
Maybe-
that's how we keep the mystery alive.
We'll keep the mystery. So maybe what is your dream that you think you haven't yet achieved in and within the world of Raymond, our world, and the world of wine? Just to keep it focused.
Sure. I think that Raymond Reserve Cab,
Yes.
I mean, I'd love to hang my hat on our district wines and our generations Cabernet, of course, but I think that we have not quite achieved the what I'll call cult status with our Reserve Cab that I think that we have the potential to do.
Great.
Because it's a relatively inexpensive, affordable bottle of wine.
Yes.
And I think that once people really take the time to appreciate it, then they'll realize, what a great wine it is. So that has not quite gotten to where I want it to be.
Well, it will come soon. I feel it. And all our friends out there will help us to say so.
Okay.
But yes.
Yes, I will.
Did you see we have the secret coming?
The secret. So at one point in time, I think I told you that I was a baton twirler. I was a majorette.
Yes.
And I think I even twirled a little baton for one of our little employee
I
talent
was
shows.
so impressed.
I actually have been in multiple parades, and one of my costumes in the parade was a pink velvet outfit. So somewhere there is a picture of me with a pink velvet outfit, and it gets better. Pink velvet little pantaloons too, because when you're skipping down the street twirling your baton, you have to have something to cover the bottom as well as a little top.
I love it.
Pink velvet with glitter. There's a picture of me somewhere in that outfit.
So would you be willing
No.
to wear that outfit again as a red velvet to make sure we match the label? And we
Wow.
walk together Highway 29. I'll wear red rope and you wear the pink.
I am not
the
sure
red
if
velvet.
I actually fit in that costume anymore.
Well, we'll remake one. In red. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the commitment on the new road of Raymond. Stephanie Putnam, just in front of you, said,
No, she didn't.
no, you said no for Highway
No.
29. For the Raymond Road.
I said no to anything. I said I do not fit in that anymore. Nice try, though.
Well, we'll have the tailor come. Next episode, we're going to show you Stephanie Putnam with a red velvet outfit. Thank you, Stephanie. That
Thank
was
you.
so much fun.
Thank you.
Dear friends, two amazing wines. The benchmark. I think it's a cult wine. Of course it is. And it's an iconic, phenomenal, and wine of the future. a new style, new elegance, new finesse, and of course, our favorite of all time, Rutherford. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
And dear friends, to the next wine style with Stephanie. Lots more secret to be shared.